guys, it's Theresa here of Larkin Design, and welcome to the Summer Scrappy Challenge. Today I'm participating in a series of challenges that Scrap and Plan with Leah Ray, has initiated. There are 12 challenges today. They are being featured on the Crafty Channel Surf Facebook group. So let me invite you to head over there and check out all the challenges. I have been asked to submit a challenge to Leah, and then if I wanted to create a layout as well, then I should do that. And so my challenge to Leah was to take a traveler's notebook layout and reinterpret it as a scrapbook layout, or flip it and take a scrapbook layout and reinterpret it as a traveler's notebook layout. And so that's what I'm going to do today. I'm actually taking a scrapbook layout and I'm going to do it both ways. I'm going to do a scrapbook layout from the sketch, and then I'm also going to do a traveler's notebook layout. So let's get started. I'm going to work on the scrapbook layout first. And so I have a photo that was taken at Linville Falls in North Carolina a couple of days ago when we were in the mountains. And then I'm also working with the Pink Paislee Summer Lights collection. There's also a roll of what's called cheesecloth that's laying on my desk. I was strolling through Hobby Lobby a couple of weeks ago and found that they have this really cool material. It's called cheesecloth, and I've used it in the past for painting before, and they have it in colors. So I picked up a couple of rolls of that, and I want to try and use that today in this layout. And then of course I'm going through some of the ephemera and other items that are included in the Summer Lights collection. A lot of pinks and purples and a little bit of yellow and mint green in this collection. And so I was really inspired by the summer theme that is part of this collection. And so I'm also starting with a simple piece of white basil cardstock. And I'm just, right now what I'm doing to just start out with is just getting a feel. I'm opening all the packages and getting a feel for this collection and sort of how I want this collection to play with my photo. So I mentioned that the photo was taken at Linville Falls in North Carolina, in the North Carolina mountains, several days ago. Before the 4th, Alan and I went out to the mountains for a few days just to get away, and we took a little hike to Linville Falls, and we were there kind of late in the day, but when we got there, there was a whole ton of people there, right? And just as we were getting ready to leave, I turned back around and looked, and everybody was gone. And I had this total magical opportunity to take this photo of the sunlight coming through the trees over the water the way that it is in this photo. And it was really sort of a magical moment. So that photo has me inspired. I'm going to start here with a little bit of paint on the white cardstock. So I have a Tim Holtz color and 2 Heidi Swapp Shine colors, and I just shake them up really good. And the way I do it is I pour it into just a little tiny amounts into my paint tray, and I have a really wet, really rough textured kind of paintbrush here. And I'm just going to do a couple of paint splotches where I know that I want what I call a home base. And so the sketch, you can see, has place for a large photo on the left hand side, and then a smaller sort of embellishment cluster on the bottom right hand side. And then the title is above that embellishment cluster in the center. So I'm using those places as the emphasis or the space for my watercolors. And I'm not really thinking about where I'm putting the colors or what they look like. They're just random splotches And so I used the yellow and the pink for the larger splotches, and then I made paint splatters with the purple color because it was darker. I wanted the paint splotches themselves to be lighter and then the splatters to be darker and stand out a little bit more. So I've cut this cheesecloth, just little pieces, and wide enough to go behind the photo. And I know that I'm gonna layer that photo on top of the cheesecloth along with some other pattern papers and just a few embellishments around the photo. I'm also working in the lower right hand corner with that embellishment cluster. I was inspired by that little rainbow. There wasn't a rainbow that day, but there were rainbow colors. You know how when the waterfall hits the water below it, hits the body of water below it, there's always a little bit of a rainbow in that splash. So the colors in this kit just really repeat that and really inspire me for that. I'm going to just cut up some of my papers here real quick. And there's a cut apart sheet. I like to cut the marketing strips off of the papers so I can use those and they're available to me. I have just a selection of papers that inspired me, that I liked from this collection. And so I'm just going to cut a few pieces just a little bit larger than the photo itself. One or two might be a little bit smaller than the photo itself. The photo is about 4 by 4 inches. What I do when I print my photos like that, of course it measures the aspect ratio, right, is a digital photo aspect ratio. And what I do when I want a square photo like that is I turn it vertical. I have the photo vertical on a landscape on a landscape canvas and then print it with borders. It's cheating, but it's easy. I don't have to crop it. I don't have to worry about it. I just do that. I print a lot of photos with borders like that. I just turn them how I want them or size them down. Photoshop gives you that option. I don't know if other photo editing softwares give you that option. So that's how I'm grouping those papers. I really just laid them so that the papers show around the edges in various places. I also really like this journaling card that says my favorite color is sunset. Technically we weren't at this location at sunset per se, but it was later in the day. It's close enough to count. But I liked, again, the colors, and I liked the idea of bringing that card over just a little bit. It's out of the bounds of the sketch, maybe, but that's okay. It's a little something else to add a little bit more color to this layout. It just seemed to fit. I like it. And then, so what I'm doing at the bottom there is I cut one of the frames from that frame patterned paper, and that's the basis. I'm going to stamp something on that, and then the rainbow that I had talked about. There's a little tiny bit of the cheesecloth behind there as well. It's just a little tiny embellishment cluster. And I stapled the cheesecloth to the white cardstock. That piece actually got stapled a little bit too low, so I just ripped it up and restapled it. It's such a nice little texture back there, and then everything tucks around nicely. I'm going to stamp something there, so I'm just going through. I end up using a Gossamer Blue stamp set from the June kits, the June Life Pages kit, I believe is what this one is. And So I'm going to stamp a little bit on that frame. It's basically functioning kind of like a label. You could use a label instead of the frame. And then I'm going to add, there's a little origami bird that's part of that stamp set as well. And so I added his little image in a couple of places too. I also really like the washi tape that is in this collection. They are fantastic. So I'm going to add a few pieces of that around the page. And the little sunshades. He definitely needed sunglasses that day. And there's one more little spot that needs something. So there are little clouds in the chipboard ephemera. That was perfect. And so now I'm going to work on adhering my photo and the papers. And I think what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to grab my We Are Memory Keepers staple board and use that. I'm using the large turquoise staples here. I still kind of have a love-hate relationship with this staple board. I will admit, I can get it to work about 85% of the time. Maybe 80% of the time. So when it works great. When it doesn't work, I just rip it out with my scissors and try again. That's my secret. And it seems to work out okay. I do like that those magnets are really strong on that board. That is the one thing that they did really well. And then I'm going to add one of the staples to the bottom cluster as well. There. And that one malfunctioned too. So again, I just ripped it out and put another one in there. I think you have to hold your mouth right. Yeah, that's it. So the layout here is looking really good. I'm going to just fold up some of these edges a little bit. And then work on my title. And so I'm so original with my title here, you guys. I'm going to call it the same thing that the collection is called. I'm just going to put Summer Lights here, because that's really what this photo is to me, just the sunlight coming through those trees. It was just amazing. So I'm using the summer die cut ephemera and then this amazing alphabet. Oh my word, this alphabet is incredible. So it's a holographic chipboard on a purple foam. And really, if you don't have that alphabet, you need to run. Don't walk, run and go get this alphabet. I love it. It's so cool. So I'm just going to write that. We'll put those letters right across the bottom here and let the summer word, let that go diagonally across. And a little tiny bit of that cheesecloth comes through there. There were these little teeny tiny stars on this chipboard package as well. So I used a couple of those around the page. There's a couple more things that I want to add. I want to do something here to the left-hand side of the photo. So I'm going to add just a couple of cardstock stickers and a couple of chipboard pieces. The camera, I had to use the camera. That large camera sticker is even more awesome, and I'm saving it, hoarding it, saving it, admiring it. But I did use the little one, yay. I also, before I adhered those stickers down, I sort of rubbed them on my jeans a little bit so that they weren't quite so sticky, and then you can curl the edges up a little bit. I need to add some journaling here. And so I'm just writing about how when we hiked here to the falls, it's a pretty short hike. It's like a half a mile out there, and it's cool and shady. It is completely downhill one way and completely uphill the way back to the car, but it was really refreshing. It was a nice hike, and I wrote that I still couldn't believe that I actually got that shot, that photo. I have just a few more things to add. I put a pop dot underneath the R of summer. I do want to add a little bit more stamping here. This Gossamer Blue stamp set has these little triangles, and I've used it before and I love it. I'm actually really liking these little triangles. And so I'm just going to put them in a couple of places here around the page. And what I'm doing here is actually, and you'll see here in a minute, I'm actually creating some stamp clusters. I decided to add a little of the stamping at the top of the page too, and then I'll do another little teeny tiny embellishment cluster up there. It's literally just going to be washi tape and a couple of stamps. But I did want a little something up there. For some reason, the paint did not splatter up there. I thought it did. There's a couple of little tiny splatters that you can barely see up there. So when the paint splatters fail, then you add a few washi tapes. And for some reason, they put these washi tapes on a backer. So they're kind of different than normal washi tapes, but that's okay. And then here's where I'm going to add, again, a little bit more stamping and just one more sticker at the top of that page, one of these word phrases. I love those. Those were holographic as well. Really, really awesome Summer Lights collection. Really amazing. And then a couple more stamps here. And that is going to wrap up this layout. I'm going to share with you a couple of close-up photos so you can get a better look at this layout. And then I will come back and we'll take a look at the Traveler's Notebook layout. Traveler's Notebook, and I am working with this sketch. I do need to say that this sketch was from Paper Issues, from the Paper Issues blog. For some reason that their logo got cut off, but I did want to give them credit. That is from Paper Issues. It's a challenge that Paper Issues has published for the month of July, I think. So that's where my sketch originated. So on to the Traveler's Notebook layout, and this sketch lends itself to a Traveler's Notebook layout because you can sort of split it down the middle. And to me, Traveler's Notebook layouts are very, very particular in the sense that they are kind of split in half. There's a left-hand side and right-hand side. And so it's always a question of what are you going to do with each side. I have a photo here of our lilies that are out by our mailbox, and our lilies always bloom really late They bloom in July, and they last for about a week, and then they're gone. And so they bloomed prolifically this month. They're still blooming right now. And I wanted to be sure and document those lilies in my gardener's notebook. So that's the notebook that I'm working in. And I began the layout by adding the washi strips down the center of the layout. I do this pretty much anytime I'm working in a traveler's notebook, but particularly if you're going to paint or whatever, because there's a gutter in, I call it the gutter, the middle seam, and if your paints run into that middle seam, then they're going to go underneath and to the pages in the back of your traveler's notebook. And so you might not want that to happen. It also adds a funky little element to the layout itself. I like it. I think it's a lot of fun. It's also something that's not on the sketch, but that's okay. So, as the sketch suggests, I'm going to place my photo here in the upper left-hand corner of the layout, and then do a title and an embellishment cluster on the lower right-hand side. And so we have a great balance here, right? This is a great asymmetrical balance in this layout here. Fantastic. I think that's one of the reasons I like this sketch so much, is because it is very balanced but very asymmetrical. I'm cool with that. So, not very complicated here. I did start with some paint and some splatter, just like I did my layout, right? And I love this idea of when you're working with a collection and you're working with a sketch and you're working with products, get 2 projects or 3 projects and just keep creating. I take this from Leah herself, because Leah has done this, and Leah talks about how this is her process, that once she has a collection out, get 2 or 3 or 4 or 6 projects and just keep going. I didn't keep going after this. I just did these 2 projects, but I really like the idea of going with a flow that you're already in. Just keep creating. Start in a different album or in a different notebook or in a different project. I could very easily flow right into a pocket page layout after this, right? That is a really aha moment for me from Leah, actually. A really aha moment that, you can take your collections and take your creative time across all your different projects. It's something that I already sort of do, and now today I'm doing it with a traditional layout and a traveler's notebook. Yay, go me. So 2 layouts, boom, back to back. This probably took me overall about an hour and a half to do both of these layouts. Not bad. Leah could probably knock these out in 20 minutes because she's all that. she's a powerhouse. And that's cool too. So however your style is. At this point, I have stamped the title. It's Hello Summer. And I have an embellishment cluster at the bottom of the page. I put that little tag underneath the photo and then added a couple of word strips. And then I'm also using one of these little squares from this specialty paper. I'm just going to staple that here to the top. I'm also going to add a little star sticker. And you can see there's a couple of paint splatters there as well, just to create another little cluster. That is off of the sketch, right? That's not included in the sketch, but it's something I also did on my scrapbook layout, and that's cool. And then the title needed one more little sticker right there. And with that, I'm going to do a little journaling too. I'm just going to write about my lilies and how they wait until really late to bloom, but then once they do, they're just simply glorious. And so, Leah, thank you so much for hosting this challenge. Thank you for asking me to submit a challenge. It has been so much fun, and I hope you've enjoyed it too. To my viewers, thank you so much for watching today. I hope that you've been inspired, and please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out the Facebook group, and I'll see you back here again soon. Thanks again, you guys. Bye-bye.